Hello and welcome to this video on multiplying decimals. Before you start, it's a really good idea to try and learn your multiplication tables, at the very least up to 9 times 9. This will be helpful not only for your multiplications but also division. So let's begin. Example 1. Work out 65.8 multiplied by 7. I strongly recommend that whenever you're doing a calculation, you do a little estimate. So let's estimate this calculation before we begin with the two methods that I'm going to show you. So 65.8, you're trying to find a number that makes that as easy as possible. So I'm going to say that 65.8 is basically 70. And I'm multiplying it by 7. So using our times tables knowledge, 7 multiplied by 7 is 49. And then I've got a 0 on the end because I'm not multiplying 7 by 7, I'm multiplying 70 by 7. So 490 is my estimate. Once you've got your estimate, you can pretty much forget about this decimal. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pretend that this number is 658 because the decimal makes my life a little bit difficult in this situation. So I'm just going to pretend it's 658. That's why I've set up the column method over here as 658, but I'm also going to do the same for this method over here. So this method on the left here I have begun to set out is called the diagonal method. You will see it called lots of other different titles, but for the purposes of this video I'm going to call it the diagonal method, and that's because we draw some diagonal lines in a moment. But where do you begin with the diagonal method? Well, you begin by drawing some boxes like you can see here, and how many boxes do you draw? Well, that depends on the numbers that you're multiplying. So you draw the number of boxes that there are digits. So in this case I've got a 3-digit number, 1, 2, 3, 3 digits, and I've drawn 3 boxes, 1, 2, 3. And I'm multiplying by a single digit. That means I only need to go one box down. Okay, that's what I've done here, just one box down because I'm multiplying by a single digit. And then you write your digits along like so. So the 6 goes here, 5, 8, and 7. And then you draw some diagonal lines. Now, it's really important that you draw these diagonal lines really carefully because quite a lot of students make errors with this. So for each individual box, you go from the top right corner to the bottom left. So that is how you need to draw your line. Now, where some students make a mistake is that they do this, and that is not correct. So for each box, you're going from top right to bottom left, and then just give it a little bit more of a line, a bit of a tail there. Top right to bottom left. Top right to bottom left. So that is how you can set it out. Just so you know, it's absolutely fine if you also do it like that. A different orientation, it's absolutely fine if you do it that way. But I've chosen to lay it out like this. I'm going to highlight now different sections of this, and that will become clear as to why I'm doing that in a moment. So I'm going to colour this in yellow. I'm going to colour these two in blue, these two in green, and this one in pink. Okay, so how do I do this? Well, the first thing you do here is you do 8 multiplied by 7, which is 56, and you put your tens here and your units here. For this box here, I'm going to do 5 multiplied by 7, which is 35. And for this box here, I'm going to do 6 times 7, which is 42. And then what you do in the diagonal method is you add along the diagonals, or the same colour. So in this case I'm adding along the yellows, and there's only one digit in the yellows here, which is just 6. You add along the next ones, which are the blues. So 5 plus 5, which is 10. And you put the 0 of the 10 here, and you carry a little 1. I'm going to do it in a different colour, just so it stands out. So I've carried a 1 here. So that is 10 there from the 5 plus 5. Then you're going to do 3 plus 2, which is 5, plus another 1, which is 6. And then finally you add along the pinks, which in this case is just 4. So I know that the digits of my answer are 4, 6, 0, 6. But where does my decimal point go? Well, let's go back to my estimate. My estimate was 490. Well, if I put the decimal point there, that's 4.606, which is nowhere near 490. So my decimal point can't be there. If I put my decimal point there, I get 46.06, which again is nowhere near 490. So my decimal point must be here, 460.6, and that is in a similar region to 490. If you want a little bit of a slower explanation of the diagonal method, please watch the previous video to this. Okay, column method now, and again you can see I've just ignored the decimal point. I've called it 658 and I'm multiplying it by 7. So diagonal method, you do several different steps. The first thing you do is multiply 8 by 7. So the first thing you do is 8 times 7, which is 56. You put your 6 there and you carry the 5. The second thing you do is 7 multiplied by 5, which is 35. But then you take your 35 and you add on that 5. 35 plus 5 is 40. There's my 40, 40. And the third thing you do is 7 times 6, which is 42, plus that 4 is 46. And again, looking back at my estimate, I know that my decimal point is going to be here. Okay, example number 2. I've already done all these colours now to save us some time. So here I've got the 3-digit number 439. But this time I'm multiplying by 0.6. But to make my life easy, I'm just going to ignore that 0.6 for a second. I'm just going to say it's 6. So that's how I'm setting up my diagonal method. But just before we get going, let's make sure we do an estimate. So 439, I'm just going to say that that is 400. Remember, you want to try and pick as easy numbers as possible to try and make your life easier. 400, and I'm multiplying it by 0.6. But again, I don't like 0.6. It's making my life a little bit difficult, so I'm going to just call it 6. And I'm going to use the fact that I know that 4 times by 6 is 24. And then I'm going to put in the 2 zeros from here. Okay, so I've got 2,400. Okay, now we need to be really careful when we've got decimals like this. So 439 multiplied by 0.6. Now, if you're multiplying by something that is less than 1, this is less than 1, think about it as 60p. If we had a pound sign here, this would be 60p, so it's less than a pound. We're multiplying by less than 1, which means we're going to get a number that is in actual fact less than 439. Because if we had 439 multiplied by 1, we'd get 439. But we've got 439 multiplied by less than 1, so we must get less than 439. Well, what number is less than 439? Well, could I put the decimal point there? No, because that would be 2,400. Could I put the decimal point here? Well, yes, I could. That would be 240. You might think, well, 24 is also less than 439. Yes, it is, but you've got to think about what this number is. This is just more than half, because of course half is 0.5, so it's a little bit more than half. So I reckon that 240 is a good estimate for this. Okay, so using that, the decimal point would go here between those two zeros, making it 240. So 240 is my estimate for this. So let's do this. 6 times 9 is 54. 6 times 3 is 18. And 6 times 4 is 24. Add along the yellows, it's just 4. Add along the greens, it's 13. You put the units part here and you carry the 1. Add along the pinks, 1 plus 4 is 5, plus another 1 is 6. And add along the blues is just 2. So the digits of my answer are 2, 6, 3, 4. But where does my decimal point go? Well, look, this was 240. So I reckon that my decimal point is going to go, ooh, not there, it's going to go here, 263.4. Okay, column method, we do this as step 1, so 6 times 9 is 54, so you've got the 4 here and the 5 here. Step 2, you do 6 times 3, which is 18, plus the 5, which is 23. And then you do 6 times 4, which is 24, plus 2 is 26. And you get the same digits as we did over on the left. And we look back at our estimate and we decide that we're going to put the decimal point there. Okay, example number 3. Work out 39 and multiply by 6.4. So again, let's do an estimate. 39 is basically 40. And 6.4, well, I'm just going to say that that is 6. So using our tables knowledge, 4 6s are 24, but then I've got the 0 from the 40 there, so 240. So I reckon this is going to be about 240. So let's put the numbers around the diagonal method. So 3, 9, and again I'm just going to ignore the decimal points. 6, 4. 6 times 9 is 54. 9 times 4 is 36. Again, it doesn't matter in which order you do. I could do this one over here. It doesn't matter which order you do them in, as long as you add them up along the diagonals at the end. 3 6s are 18, and 3 4s are 12. Oops, let's make that 2 a little bit clearer. Adding along the diagonals now, so add along the yellows is just 6. Add along the greens, you've got 4, 7, 8, 9, that's 9 there. Add along the pinks, you've got 5 and 8 is 13, plus another 1 is 14, so you put your 4 here and you carry a 1. I'm going to put that in a different colour. And then you add along the blue, so 1 plus 1 is 2. So the digits of my answer are 2, 4, 9, 6. Well, let's have a look at my estimates. So 240, where can I put my decimal point? So it's around 240, I reckon it's going to be there. 249.6. Let's see if this other method gives the same answer. So where do we start with this? It's double digit by double digit. So this has a few more lines of working here for this one. So step 1 is 9 times 4, which is 36. And you put the 3 down here. Make that a little bit clearer. Put the 3 down here. And then step 2 is 3 times 4, which is 12, plus the 3 is 15. So put the full answer here. So if there's my 15. And then step 3, so that was step 1 and 2. I'm just going to take those out of the way a second, because step 3 is now going across. So this way now. But this time, and this is the next step of the working, you must put a 0 here. Why? Because you're multiplying by 6t. Okay, that's in the tens column, isn't it? You're not multiplying by 6, you're multiplying by 6t, because that is in the tens column. So that's why we're compensating for that and making sure we've multiplied it by 10 by putting a 0 there. So step 3 is 6 times 9, which is 54. So I put my 4 here and carry my 5. And then step 4 is 6 threes, 6 times 3, which is 18, plus the 5 is 23. And I put my 23 like that. And then you add them all up to get your final answer. So try not to get confused here with these bits here, because these were the carrying forward bits. So try not to get confused with those ones. I'm not going to add up those. So you now add up your 2 lines of working. So 6 plus 0 is just 6. 5 plus 4 is 9. 1 plus 3 is 4. And 2 is on its own there in that column. So 2, 4, 9, 6. And using my estimate, I know that my decimal point needs to go there as my final answer. My final answer to this question here. Obviously not 39 times 64, but 39 times 6.4. Okay, example 4. Work out 8.4 multiplied by 2.7. So I'm going to do the diagonal method over here first. 8 and 4, 2 and 7. Again, I'm just ignoring the decimal points because they make my life a bit difficult. So I'm going to use my estimate, 8.4. Well, I'm just going to say that that is 8. Multiplied by 2.7. Well, 2.7 is basically 3. 3 8s are 24. So my estimate is 24 for this calculation. So let's have a look. 2 4s are 8. If you've just got an 8, they're like that. Then you must put a 0 there. This box is 4 times 7, which is 28. This box over here is 2 times 8, which is 16. This box here is 7 times 8, which is 56. Add along your yellows is 8. Add along the greens is 16. There's my 6. There's the 1 carried forward. 6 plus 5 is 11, plus another 1 is 12. That's the 2 from the 12, carry the 1. And then add along the blues, I get 1 plus that 1 there, which is 2. So the final digits of my answer are 2, 2, 6, 8. So let's have a look at my estimate. My estimate was 24, therefore my decimal point must go there. Another way of thinking about where to put your decimal point is to do the following, which is to look at the question and look at how many decimal places there are in the question, of which there are 2. There's just 2 decimal places there, the 7 and the 4. And then you count that amount in from the right. So there's 1, 2 decimal places in the answer. But you can also use the estimation way as well. Okay, multiplying, so step 1 is 7 times by 4. Step 2 is 7 multiplied by 8. So let's do that. 7 4s are 28. Put my 8 there. Carry the 2. 7 8s are 56. Plus 2 is 58. Then you put your 5 there, 58. I'm just going to move these out of the way to show you step 3 and 4. Step 3 is going to be that one, and step 4 is going to be that one. But don't forget, you've got to do a 0 here because you are not multiplying by 2, you're multiplying by 20. So 2 multiplied by 8, beg your pardon, 2 multiplied by 4 is 8. And 2 multiplied by 8 is 16. So I'm going to put my 16 there. And then the final step of the working is just to add those two rows together. So 8 plus 0 is 8. 8 plus 8 is 16. 5 and 6 is 11, plus another 1 is 12. And then 1 plus 1 is 2, and I put my decimal point there because my estimate has helped me out with that one. Example 5, 3 digits by 2 digits. So a lot going on here now. So 283, I'm just going to say it's 283. I'm not going to say it's 28.3. 283, and I'm going to say it's 75 now. Not 7.5, but I'm going to use my estimate. So 28.3, let's say that is 30. 7.5, let's say that is 8. I know that 3 times 8 is 24. And I'm going to put a 0 on the end of that because I've got a 0 there. So my estimate is 240. Okay, so 3 7s are 21. 7 8s are 56. 2 7s are 14. 3 5s are 15. 5 8s are 40. And 2 5s are 10. Add along your yellows is 5. Add along your greens, 2. Add along your pinks is 12. I'm going to carry a little 1 over here to make it my 12. Add along the blues, I've got 10 there, and plus that extra 1 is 11. So I've got my 1 there, and I'm going to carry a 1 there. And then add along the orange. So 1 plus 1 is 2. So the final digits of my answer are 2, 1, 2, 2, 5. And I've got to look at my estimate. My estimate is 240. So it's not going to be 21,225 like you can see here. It's going to have the decimal point being there because that would make it 212.25. Okay, column method. You start off by doing 3 times 5, then you do 5 times 8, then you do 5 times 2. So let's do that. 5 3s are 15. Carry a little 1. 5 8s are 40, plus 1 is 41. And then 2 5s are 10, plus that 4 are 14. Just going to rub those out just so that they don't get confused with the next line of my working, but hopefully you can remember that they were there. The next stage, remember we're going to put that 0 on that second line. So step 4 is that way, step 5 and step 6. So let's do that. Remember, the first thing you must do, and that some students forget, is to put the 0 there, because we're now multiplying by 70. So I put the 0 there. 7 3s are 21. 7 eighths are 56, plus 2 is 58. And 7 twos, or 2 sevens, are 14, plus 5 and 19. And I'm just going to rub those out just so we don't get confused with those. Final step is to add them together. So 5 plus 0 is 5, 1 plus 1 is 2, 4 plus 8 is 12, 9 plus 1 is 10, plus another 1 is 11, and then 1 plus 1 is 2. And again, I can put my decimal point there because, oops, let's do that again. Because my estimate told me it's got to be in the region of 240, and by putting my decimal point there, that gives me an answer in the region of 240. And example number 6, 38.6 multiplied by 0.82. So you can see what I've done here. I have kept the 3 boxes along the top, 3, 8, 6, but I have not done 3 boxes down the side because there's no point in having just a load of zeros along the top. I'm just going to say that that is 82. Let's do an estimate. 38.6, well, that's basically 40. And 0.82, well, I'm just going to pretend that that is 8. Okay, just to give me an estimate. Well, 4 eighths of 32, but I've got to have that 0 on the end, so it's going to be 320. But we need to look back at the question and be really careful because this is 0.82, so it's less than 1. So if I was doing 38.6 multiplied by 1, I'd get 38.6. But if I do 38.6 multiplied by something less than 1, I get less than 38.6. So what number is less than 38.6 there? Well, the closest thing to something less than 38.6 there is 32.0. So that is my estimate, 32.0, or just 32. That's my estimate. So let's work it out. 6 eighths are 48. 8 eighths are 64. 3 eighths are 24. 2 sixes are 12. 2 eighths are 16. And 3 twos are 6. Add along the yellows is 2. Add along the greens is 15. Carry 1. Add along the pinks. We've got 15, 16. Oh dear. Pen's not behaving well today. So adding along the pinks, we got 15 plus another one, 16. Carry the 1 over there. Add along the blues, we get 11. Carry a 1 from the 11. And add along the orange, we get 3. So the digits of my answer, the digits of my final answer are 3, 1, 6, 5, 2. My estimate was 32.0, so I reckon my decimal point needs to be there. Column method. Let's do step 1, step 2, step 3. So 2 sixes are 12. 2 eighths are 16 plus 1, 17. 2 threes are 6 plus 1, 7. Just going to rub those out so we don't get confused. Remember, the next step of our working, we need to put that 0 underneath because we are now multiplying by a t, not just the 8. So 8 times 6, or 6 times 8 is 48. 8 8s is 64, plus the 4 is 68. And 3 8s are 24, plus that makes 30. Okay, final step, add them together. 2 plus 0 is 2. 7 plus 8 is 15. Carry 1. 7 plus 8 is 15, plus another one is 16. 0 plus 1 is 1, and 3 is in that final column. And again, I'm using my estimates to know where to position my decimal point. Okay, I hope that's been useful. Have a go at these questions. So remember, you can use either method, it doesn't matter. You don't have to use a particular method in an exam or a test, just as long as you get the right answer, that would be great. So have a go at these, lay out your workings nice and neatly, put the decimal point in at the end, and when you are ready, you can resume the video to see the answers. So stop the video now, have a go at these, and then restart the video when you're ready to see the answers. Here are the answers. Very well done if you had a go at those.